Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished colleagues, college football fans from all over, it is time for my inaugural State of the Big 12 address. Topic number 1, the future of the Big 12. As many of you know, just a few months ago, it looked like the Big 12 Conference was on its way out, thanks to a great offer by the Pac-10 Conference. But just when it looked like the Big 12 was on the verge of being extinct, Big 12 Commissioner Dan Beebe made an offer to the remaining Big 12 members that they didn't refuse, which meant additional money, TV revenue money to those remaining members, and allowing the University of Texas to have its own TV network, which in time will bring an additional $3 to $5 million per year to that school. So for right now, everything is okay in Big 12 territory. However, I'm troubled. I'm troubled for the Big 12 because its future. And the reason is because of the thing called the formation of super conferences, which could take conferences to 16 teams. We could see 5 super conferences down the road for a total of 80 teams with super conference affiliation, just because the Big 12 is intact for the moment with only 10 remaining members. Do not think that in the future it could remain, because there will be temptation from other conferences coming after the University of Texas, the biggest moneymaker in the Big 12, the SEC, the Big Ten, and yes, the Pac-10 would make another attempt to try to get the Longhorns to join their conference later this decade. College football, as you can tell, is changing. We've seen the changes with Nebraska going to the Big Ten, with Utah and Colorado now going to the Pac-10, and with the University of BYU. They are going to be an independent because they know that bigger and better things will be waiting for them down the road. The SEC, you know they're going to want Miami and Florida State to join. And you know that the Big Ten will again be calling at Notre Dame. And of course, those conferences would love to have the University of Texas. Being an Oklahoma Sooner lover that I am, I have to admit that if Texas were to leave the Big 12 Conference, the Big 12, it would be all over. Other teams would be leaving as well. Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, they would have super conference affiliation as well. And you know that the Big 12 North would have to leave as well. So I say that super conferences, it may sound scary now, but in the future, it may be the best thing for college football. And here's why. Because it could end the BCS, and we could finally have a playoff in about 10 years. The abolishment of the BCS might be the best thing that ever happened to college football. So I say right now, have an open mind. And remember, 10 years from now, we could very well have a college football playoff thanks to the formation of super conferences. You have to love college football. Topic number 2, schedules. I hold documents right here stating the teams that have the easiest and toughest schedules this year in college football coming out of the Big 12. And there's no doubt about it, as I look at this documentation, ladies and gentlemen, that the Iowa State Cyclones have the most difficult schedule of any Big 12 team this season. Why do you ask? Because all you have to do is look at the proof in the pudding. There are games there, as you can see, against Missouri, against Nebraska, as well as against Utah, and of course at top 10 ranked Iowa. Certainly no walk in the park. Texas Tech. Iowa State will be an underdog in that game. And then of course the juiciest part for the end, at Oklahoma, at Texas in the month of October. Back-to-back weeks with no byes in between. In fact, you will not see a bye on the Iowa State Cyclone schedule because their season will end on November 20th. I say this, ladies and gentlemen, if Iowa State is able to get the necessary 6 victories to go to a bowl game and do wind up in a bowl, I say the heck with Mac Brown, the heck with Bob Stoops, the heck with Bo Pelini. Paul Rhodes of Iowa State should get Coach of the Year if Iowa State is able to go to a bowl game. Won't you pass that proposition for me? I also hold documents in my hand, ladies and gentlemen, that clearly show the easiest schedule in the Big 12, and that belongs to the Kansas Jayhawks. KU, first-year head coach Turner Gill, you've been given a Christmas present, because you'll notice on that schedule, there's no Oklahoma, there's no Texas, there's no Texas Tech. Opportunity is there for the Jayhawks. Yes, you do have to play Georgia Tech at home, and yes, you do have to play at Nebraska, and you have to play Missouri. However, you get to go to Baylor, certainly a winnable game. Oklahoma State at home, it's winnable. And you get to play Colorado without going to the Rocky Mountains. They come to Lawrence. And you get Kansas State at home as well. Kansas State right now is a one-dimensional offense. That's a winnable game for the Jayhawks. So I say, Kansas, Turner Gill, the opportunity is there for your first year at KU to be very successful, to get the necessary 6 wins. You avoid most of the big dogs. Take advantage of the schedule, Turner Gill, in front of you. And ladies and gentlemen, as I get ready to wrap up this inaugural State of the Big 12 address, I say keep an eye on the top 5 games of the Big 12 Conference this season. Number 5, Texas at Texas Tech. Of Texas's last 4 trips to Lubbock, Texas has lost 2 of those games, including their last appearance, which was back in 2008, which took a dream of possibly a national championship out of the Longhorns' hands when Texas Tech broke their hearts at the last minute. Texas will be favored entering this game, but probably won't be a big favorite. As many questions as I might have about Texas Tech's offense and new head coach Tommy Tuberville, I have just as many questions about Texas because of their new offense, because of their quarterback who's only played 1 full game of college ball in his career, and plus Texas lost many of its top pass rushers. This is one of those games that could spell upset. So I say to Texas, don't take Texas Tech for granted. Remember, you have a big game against Oklahoma and Nebraska in the month of October. But don't forget the middle of September, the Ides of September, because otherwise Texas Tech could make you a victim of an upset. Number 4, Oklahoma at Texas A&M. I say to Oklahoma Sooner fans, put 2008 out of your memory bank. Yes, you did win big at A&M 2 years ago, but that A&M team was horrible. They could have lost to a high school team that year. This season, A&M will be much better. A very dangerous offense. Over 85,000 fans at Kyle Field, waving those hankies, yelling throughout the game. It'll be difficult for Landry Jones. I don't care what Oklahoma is ranked entering this game. They could be undefeated. They could be number 1. The game will be no less difficult. So Oklahoma, you better be ready for a difficult game against Texas A&M coming up in early November. Number 3, ladies and gentlemen, Nebraska at Texas A&M. I would almost give the identical message to Nebraska as I just did to Oklahoma. Nebraska could be highly ranked entering that matchup. They might have already have beaten Texas. They might have already survived that September game at Washington. This will make the Texas A&M game no less important. The Aggies at this point, they might be highly ranked as well, or they could be playing spoiler. Either way, Nebraska, don't take this game for granted. Remember, the A&M at home with that home crowd advantage of over 80,000 fans will try to make life as difficult for you as possible. Number 2 on my list, Texas at Nebraska. College game day could be at this game in mid-October, October 16th to be exact. These two teams on the field can't stand each other, off the field hate each other. One last matchup for these two squads, as Nebraska next year will be in Big Ten territory. Nebraska will have many of the old-timers coming back, standing around the sidelines. Nebraska players know that the great players of yesteryear will be looking right there. They'll be over their shoulder. So Nebraska, you have one last opportunity to do something that you've never done in Big 12 regular season play. That is, beat Texas. The Longhorns could have pretty high hopes as well entering this game. And once again, this rivalry has been Texas's baby since the mid-90s. So, for the Huskers, you get one last shot at success against the Longhorns. Will you take advantage of it? We'll see come October 16th. And number 1, OU Texas. The Red River rivalry. Look, ladies and gentlemen, giving you this address, there's no necessary need for added superlatives or the adjectives. This game, it's for so much. Big 12, possible national championship aspirations for these teams. October 2nd, Oklahoma, Texas. If you missed this game, you are an absolute moron. So make sure to catch OU Texas. It is the top game of the Big 12. OU and Texas, these teams have won the Big 12 South each of the last 11 years. And this year's game, analyzing it today, September 1st, 2010, it looks razor thin close. Catch Oklahoma, Texas in early October. You'll be glad you did. And that concludes, ladies and gentlemen, my 2010 State of the Big 12 address. It is officially game week now. Let the college football begin. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.